What's up, GameLeapers? This is Coach Eagz back at it with another banger of a video, and in this one you are going to learn how to crush your lane as a ranged champion into those popular melee mid and top laners. I'm going to be giving you guys 4 essential tips to help you dominate your lane every game. Mentality, spacing, threats, slowing down waves. These are the must-know keys to playing ranged champions at the highest level, so make sure you stick around for the whole video and pay attention, fam. You're not going to want to miss this one. Remember to help this red hot video out and leave a like, we really appreciate it, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our daily uploads, and make sure you turn on the bell and select all so you get notified of every upload. I also can't urge you guys enough to check out GameLeap.com, the market leader for League of Legends learning. Videos, courses, guides, hundreds of them made by the best players and coaches going around to help you reach your potential. Alright, let's get into it. Tip number 1, damage is everything. Damage is how you win lane from now on, guys. I'm changing your mentality. You might CS pretty well, you might land a couple of skill shots in 5 minutes, you may even auto attack your melee counterpart once or twice in the early game. You know what this playstyle is? Briefing. You are letting that melee champion get away with murder. When someone looks in Zed, Akali, Fizz, Yasuo, what's your advantage? Range. That's it. And what does this range really mean? Well, it means damage essentially, because if we don't hit them with your range, what's the point of having that advantage? We have to make use of it and focus on dealing damage and making it difficult in the early laning phase for our enemy to play the game. The reason why Zed and Yasuo annihilate players in low elo is because the players they lane against do not know how to punish them and make the lane difficult. Altering your focus from laning safely and CSing well to I'm going to do 10k damage in 5 minutes will help you guys out immensely. That's impossible, of course, but if you don't try to, you never will. From my hundreds of coaching sessions this season, this is one commonality among low elo mid and top laners who play ranged champions. They are very hesitant to auto attack and damage the enemy laner. Let me ask you guys, what is a Katarina or a Zed going to do to you level 1? So why are we standing behind our ranged minions? Let's look at FAKER caring about damage. Even if we just pause the video here, it is so obvious that FAKER thinks about the range versus melee lane differently than everyone in lower levels of play. He would not be this far past the waves unless he wanted to deal damage to the weaker Echo. Same thing in this clip. Now I understand that it's easier to pump out damage earlier on Lucian than on Lux, for example, but you can still have the same attitude and opportunities to deal damage will arise. When FAKER is so aggressive, it forces Echo into using his cooldowns defensively, like his W, and gives FAKER a big window of time in which to deal more damage if Echo really misplays. He is in total control of the lane because his focus is on the damage. In this clip he almost kills Echo because his play is dictated by his mentality. He isn't sitting back making sure to secure last hits, he's doing that, but also thinking about dealing damage to Echo whenever possible. The last example I want to show you guys is against a sylas. Look at the hurt, man. Damage is everything, guys. Think about doing it and you will win lane way more often. On to my next tip. Tip number 2, the golden circle. I'm very excited about this tip because I think it might be the GOAT. Stay on the golden circle at all times, guys, and you will never lose as a ranged champion. Or maybe a few games, but this will improve your play tenfold. If your advantage is range, we want to maintain that advantage at all times. This doesn't mean we go and headbutt the Fizz when he hits level 6 or the Akali when she has our ultimate. No, we keep that same distance. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to draw a circle around FAKER's Lucian here, and this circle indicates Lucian's auto attack range. This is the space or area in which he can auto attack a target. Simple enough, right? I'm then going to draw another circle in between the first and Lucian. The area from this second circle to Lucian is the danger zone. Let's highlight that in red. If an enemy champion gets in that danger zone, you have ran it down, GameLeapers. The outer circle is the golden circle, and that's the space we maintain in our 1v1. We want to stay golden. Think of a time when you've seen that double lift wannabe headbutt the enemy Alistar on Vayne. It was probably your last game, to be honest. That's because he's operating in the danger zone. If we don't maintain that space, we might as well be a melee champion. Sometimes you are going to misplay. It happens to the best of us, and that's part of League, making mistakes. And in those scary situations, you have to back off as quickly as you can. Simple as that. Accept that you made the mistake and run away. There's no need to double the trouble and pretend you intentionally headbutted the enemy Fizz level 3. Let's pause it. FAKER is getting ganked by Kindred, so how does he maintain space from both Echo and his jungler? He plays this beautifully and tries to isolate Echo so it remains as a 1v1. Notice how FAKER dashes over the wall to keep Kindred at arm's length while still dealing damage to Echo? So not only is the golden circle valuable in the 1v1, but also when you get ganked. This is crucial to understand if you are playing a ranged champion. Faker's jungler helps him out and they kill Kindred, but it's all because Faker created and maintained that space. Spacing is also very important when harassing a melee champion under their tower, because you obviously don't want to take turret hits for free. Notice how Echo can never jump onto Faker because he maintains that range advantage, and if he did, well, it's suicide. In this Sylas clip, watch how Faker auto-attacks Sylas within the golden circle. Sylas isn't in the danger zone, so Faker can keep dishing out damage, and even at level 1 he has used his range to create a big health advantage. Just a quick friendly reminder to leave a like on the video, guys. We're trying to get GameLeap back to where it belongs in the League community, and your help goes such a long way. Let's keep sending it. Tip number 3. Eyes on the threat. Watching the enemy champion during the lane is one of the most important skills to develop as a laner. Not only is it important for your own acts of aggression, when you try to damage your opponent when they move up for a CS, for example, it's also important for when you are on the defensive. Guys, it's one thing to know the threat the enemy laner poses to you, it's another to react and nullify them. The reason this is so hard is because there's a myriad of things you have to think about as a laner every second, and this is what separates the best players in the world from everyone else. Their ability to compute information and react to it on the fly. You have to CS, you have to position, you have to space, you have to jungle track, you have to consider your back timers, you have to communicate with your team. It's overwhelming, but this tip will make your life so much easier. This is why Faker dodges every skill shot and lands every skill shot. His focus is not on his champion, nor what's right in front of him. It's on his opponent. When Faker sees the enemy champion channel an ability, and if it is a skill shot, he's dodged it as soon as it's left that champion's orbit. Players in low elo only see the skill shot when it's about to hit them. What does this mean? They give themselves barely any time to react, and they moan about how broken that champion is. Let's watch Faker bully some melee champions using this tip. You can't deal damage to a champion without looking at them, right? Whenever Sylas moves close to Faker's auto-attack range, the golden circle, he tries to capitalize on every opportunity he has to deal damage, and this is because he is watching the Sylas. Even though Faker flashes into the Sylas chain here, he still manages to kill him and survive because he focused on his opponent consistently for the previous couple of minutes. Sylas would probably be full HP if this was a low elo Lucian. In this game, he's dead. This example is more skill shot based, and Faker uses the eyes on the enemy trick aggressively at first. He watches Akali and bases his Q off her movement. It just misses. He then uses it defensively and sees Akali move towards him, signaling that she wants to damage Faker. He responds and retreats and evades her Q. Great stuff. Probably the cleanest clip of the bunch. Faker's eyes are glued to Akali and he deals as much damage as he can and saves his E to play a little defense. This completely nullifies Akali's counterplay. Eyes on the threat, guys. If you're enjoying watching Faker's Lucian as much as I am, then let us know, guys, and drop a like on the video. Okay, last tip, but definitely not least. Tip number 4, the equator. Guys, stop shoving every single wave and keep the lane at the equator. You see this line? This is the equator of Summoner's Rift. Remember this. Let's think of a situation. If a mid laner, right, was to shove every wave that reached the lane, does this make the enemy mid safer? It does, yes. But why? Because they are closer to their tower, their safety. Now, there might be some situations where shoving is good. For example, you might be setting up for a dive, or you want to back and buy, or you want to help your jungler or roam, but most of the time low elo laners shove for no reason at all, and when the situation does not require it. If you don't need to shove the wave, do not shove the wave. When the lane is closer to the equator, the enemy laner has a harder time to negotiate your advantage, this being your range. When you don't shove the wave, you are closer to your tower, which is your safety, and this is when ranged champions get killed and players get toxic. They mindlessly push up, get ganked, and flame their gold jungler for the next 10 minutes. That's on you, fam. If the wave is past the equator, the lane is shorter for you and longer for your opponent. There is more room for that Fizz, Akali, Katarina to chase you down, and this is when they are most dangerous. You know who else is dangerous when you're closer to the enemy tower? The enemy jungler. Good. So we need to know how to slow down the waves, guys, and it's very simple. Just last hit. That's it. If you are constantly auto-attacking and using your abilities on the wave for no reason, that is damage you could have used on the enemy champion, or threatened to use at least. Essentially, you're wasting your power. As we can see in these examples, one of the most reliable situations to create a threat to a melee champion is to simply last hit and slow down the waves. Faker only touches the wave when it's time to execute the minions. Akali having to move closer to the equator to do the same puts her within Faker's golden circle, and she may take a lot of damage if she messes up. Same in this clip. Faker slow pushes by last hitting, and notice how the other tips come into play and are more effective when the lane is being played around the equator. Now Now Akali is playing passively as she should, but in low elo there will be ample opportunity to punish that gold Akali who thinks because she has a shroud she is untouchable. She isn't. Focus on keeping the waves as close to the equator as possible guys, and your laning phase will become so much more efficient. Less deaths, more kills, more wins. Let us know in the comments how you go at using the huge 4 tips we covered in this video guys, and by all means feel free to ask any questions and we'll get back to you. If you're loving the content at the moment, it doesn't have to stop. Head on over to GameLeap.com to keep learning the ins and outs of Summoner's Rift. If you want to be the best, then sussing out our hundreds of videos, courses and guides is a no-brainer. Please like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe for the next daily upload. This has been Coach Eagz. Until next time, peace.